Hello everyone, Sish Double here. Today in this video, I'm going to talk about something very important topic, and that is bullying. Bullying is a very serious problem at school and even at the most recent years online. Bullying is a very serious topic that many schools are taking very seriously. But it is but there are in fact not only students being targeted by other students. There are in fact cases that there are being teachers being bullying the students, or at least maybe as one of two students any for any reasons. And I do talk of many cases though. And you may probably ask me if I have any experience of being bullied. And the answer is yes. I have an experience myself being bullied. And I will talk about that in a moment. I know that many students at schools, like from elementary to high school, or perhaps in college, but most perhaps in high school, for example, many of those students can be targeted by almost anyone. But there are in fact even schools out there, right outside in the world, that hasn't even had any sort of program for stopping bullying. But in fact, there are schools that have that system, an anti-bullying program that makes sure, and they had no tolerance program policy for no bullying at all in their school grounds. But for most recent years, bullying has taken a step further in the online world. Cyberbullying. Cyberbullying has been also very strong impact, and especially during when the social media appeared, like Facebook, Twitter, and etc. Many students or many teenagers and even adults can also be targeted by bullying. But how can we do this to stop this from happening? Well, if there is people, students, who is brave enough to even stand up against the bullies, if you had any friends who have been bullied by some group of bullies, and you seen your best friend or a close friend of yours being bullied, targeted by them for any reason, you should stand up to them. But it's sometimes they are even some of the most closest friends. Even they are very brave itself, but sometimes those are also being afraid being targeted by bullies instead, or be the next target. And I know for sure that many is terrified. There were in fact one story I did see on YouTube a couple of years ago about a young boy. He's probably like 10, 12, and he was in a special school education system. And every time when he got home from school, he was tired, he was crying, and his mother was getting worried about if another student had been bullying her son. But she tried to talk to her son about it, but he couldn't even express exactly who been bullying her own son. So she put a tape recorder, in her son's backpack to see who could be doing this. And the reveal to be to her shocked her to her very core. There wasn't even another student that bullied her own son. There were, in fact, two of her son's school's teachers were the ones who bullying her own son. For that example is that students being bullied by teachers is horrified. Terrible that they happen. I know that many do suffer from being bullied, and I do speak of my own experience. My experience took place around 2008. During my last year of school, I was about 17, 18 years at the time. There was this group of girls who targeted me for some unknown reason. I don't even know. I didn't even try to figure out exactly why they target me. But anyways, they only call me two things: gay, the guy who hates girls. And the first few several times, I just ignored those things. I just didn't even bother to even just ignore them. But as they continued, I was getting tired of that. I was very close to even drop out of school entirely. But I didn't. I am glad that I finished with school. But you may ask how I finally dealt with that. Did I tell a teacher about it during the time? The answer is no. And you may ask why I didn't even tell a teacher, like I had mentioned earlier in this video, that if you really had a problem with it being bullied, why don't you tell a teacher about it? Well, I should have told my teacher earlier, but I don't even remember exactly why I didn't do it. Perhaps I was just maybe I was too confident I can just ignore them. They will just stop doing it, but they didn't. So exactly what happened in the end, I really don't remember so much details. But the only thing I do remember, during one class, I walked in the hallway for some reason. I saw two of the girls walk in the hallway, and they said the same things again. That I'm gay, that gays are that this goes a guy who hates girls. For this was in fact the only time I was very curious. I literally walked up to them, slapped one of the girls in her face, and walked back to class. In a sense, she deserved it. After she been bullying me and her friends for no reason. Because here's the reason for I never thought exactly why. First of all, these were only a group of four girls. I know their names, but I don't remember exactly any one of them much anymore. And for the reason number one, I figure exactly I have no idea why they target me. And number two, I never even talked to either of them. I never even I never even interacted with any of them. So these are targeting me. Me! Of all the other students in the part of school I went to. They can target anyone, but they focus on me. If I had dropped out of school, I would have blamed them, not my personal beliefs. They would have been the ones who had been short, been told. They would have been the main reason if I had dropped out of school. But I stuck my ground. Even if at the same day, after I slapped one of the girls in the face, I went back to class and they even came after me. They were both furious. But I told my teacher then what has been going on. After that, they stopped even talk to me. They didn't do anything afterwards. But do I justify to that anyone just slap or even hurt, try to fight back the bullying, or even try to harm or maybe humiliate to be made them embarrass themselves? The answer is no, because it would only give some time to get the things even worse, or it would make you the new bully. Trust me. I know that many girls probably say that what I did against that girl was not the right thing to do, and that I am the new bully. I totally agree with you. But back think about it. I was targeted by this group of girls for no reason. They didn't even explain exactly why they targeted me. I could have got back, like I could have told my teacher early on, but I was so self confident that they would stop bullying me if I just ignored them. In normal case, that would sound probably solid easier, but they just continued and continued. At first, I just ignored them. I was just tired of that at a point. I was even so close to drop out of school. Even I told my parents and even some of my own close friends of mine how about this was going on, but they never told anyone. So I don't. So don't blame my friends not be standing up for me. I do trust them, and I'm sure that they didn't want to be informing everyone, telling anyone else because they didn't want to be involved in to be bullied themselves. Which, in from their perspective, I understand that. So, being a former target by bullying myself, I would do anything that is my way to stop bullying from being happening. But since these days, when the most recent of social media been out there, they will be more difficult to even to figure out exactly who can have been. But in schools, if you really have someone who's been bullied by anyone, then I mean anyone, if it's a friend of yours or if it's a sibling of yours that's perhaps in a grade below you or in a year, if there's if you have a friend or sibling that is perhaps even 1 year or 1 year older or younger who has been bullied, you should stand up and protect your friend and your sibling at any point, no regardless what happened. But but if you really and find a friend of yours being bullied, don't try to fight the bully. They will only escalate the violence even more. And if you do, it's a very big risk that your friend will end up in a such serious more problem with the bully even later on. So the only option and answer you should have is to inform an adult, a teacher, a parent, or perhaps even an older sibling that is more reasonable and especially not someone who has a very bad temper. So I recommend not to engage fight with your friend's bully. Not only because the bully will target your friend even more, perhaps even take it to the next level to even more severe punishment, or you can also be targeted by this bully also. But especially now, when during this social media age that has been a part of us, part of our lives for several years now, for the most recent years, people can be cyberbullying online in secret or as an anonymous. But trust me, if you really have someone close to you, a friend, a cousin, a sibling, who has been targeted by bullying, talk to your friend. Your friend shouldn't be stand there and feel that's alone. Don't abandon your friends or anyone you know that's bullied. It is it's not well because the only fact cases that those students who have been targeted by bullies, they don't respond back as positive. There have been cases of bullying leading a student to commit suicide. And I do say it happens more often than you know it. So if you have a friend, a sibling who has been, if you find out that your friend or your sibling is targeted by bully, talk to them. Talk to your friend or your sibling, and before it gets too far. talk to your parent, tell your parents about it, tell a teacher about it, and this should not happen. Even this, even this is not just focuses a small area around in one particular land or nation. This is in fact a global wide problem. It happens all over the world. Anyone who has been suffering from bullying should stand up. Even if you feel like you're alone, you're not strong enough, courage enough, or even brave enough to do that. Even if you try to stand up against your bully, in some cases that doesn't even solve much either. Because even if you try to stand up against your bully and the bully would just laugh at you and say, oh, there you go, someone who's trying to be strong and brave enough, but end up being bullied even more. But but you should stand up to your friends, no regardless what happens. If you know someone who has been bullied, tell someone, a teacher, a parent, or perhaps even an older sibling. Tell someone that you really trust. But because bullying is a serious problem, very, very serious problem. Anyone who has been targeted by bullying, you're not alone. You are not alone. There are many out there. Think about it. And you may think that many of those celebrities, like movie stars, actors, singers, you may think they never been bullied in school. But the thing is, they can also have been targeted by bullies when they were in school. But they stand up for themselves. And in fact, many of those actors, singers, they take part of charity programs like that to stand up to protect anyone who has been part of a bully. Many famous actors, singers can also be a part of being bullied when they were young. So think about it. If you are being bullied, anyone can be. I have. I have been bullied, but I did stand up. And since then, I never had any problem. So if anyone has a bullying problem, always remember a few words. Stand up. Stand up against yourself. Protect. Be brave. Tell someone. Tell a friend, a family member, parent, a grandparent at all, or even a teacher. Bullying is a terrible thing that no one should ever been experience. But will bullying stop? Unlikely. As long as many people being bullied around the world, it is very unlikely bullying will stop as just like overnight. But after as long as there are people out there around the world fighting for against bullying, as long as there are schools where they have no tolerance of bullying policies, there are programs, clubs like that to just try to stop bullying, join some such clubs. Make sure to stand up against your friends if they've been bullied. If you've seen anyone who has been showing signs of being bullied, or if you've seen anyone who has been being bullied in class or school hallways like that, immediately tell a teacher. Tell a teacher immediately. Because bullying is not a good thing. Trust me. What if you're what if even if you haven't never have been bullied yourself, but if you ever have a son or a daughter in when you're old enough, who knows and say even if you weren't targeted by any bullies, but your children can be a target when they're old enough in school. So trust me, if anyone has been shown any signs of being bullied or is afraid to talk about it, you should tell your friend or that particular person that you're not alone. You have a friend. You have friends. But if anyone has been bullied, always remember the golden words. Stand up for yourself. Be brave. Tell anyone you can trust. A teacher, a friend, a parent. But there are in fact sometimes when students who have been bullied but is too afraid to even tell a sibling, a parent, or a teacher about it. Sometimes this bullying can get too far, too serious. So if anyone of us has been bullied, I know what it's like. And bullying itself, you may think it is a quite simple, easy phrase. You say stop. In one word, not not as that. I mean, as I would say, you may think it is easy to say stop and bully to stop. In some cases, no. It would only get perhaps as repeated itself, or it perhaps even get worse. But if you really have found someone who has been bullied by anyone, a friend, a family member, be there. Talk to your friend and and a family member you have. Talk to someone you can really trust. A school counselor, a teacher, a parent, a friend. Make sure that bullying stops. Even if bullying itself maybe never, perhaps will never stops. But we should always remember, fight against bullying. Bullying is not a good answer for anyone. Because those who bullying other people, they think they're brave, tough, because they're doing something that they're talking to someone who they think is weak. But in fact, they aren't even tough at all. And I just say, those who are bullying other people, they aren't brave. They're terrified. They're terrified to themselves to be bullied. So I do say, if anyone has been bullied by anyone, if it's a friend of yours, or is a sister, a brother, immediately tell someone, a teacher, friend, a parent, or even in some case, even the principal itself. Tell someone, because this is something that we cannot stand anymore. Despite there are schools which has no policy against bullying, that there are teachers and even some principals just ignore that they have been bullied. I know that teachers are the ones who should be responsible to make sure the students are safe. So make sure that everyone is staying safe in schools. If you have anyone you know that been bullied, a friend, a sibling, immediately tell someone about it. Talk to your sibling or your friend about it, and just make sure that they aren't alone, and that they are not the ones that are responsible for any of this. That they aren't the victim. They are strong. To make sure that, try to make them remember they are brave, strong individual, not a weak one. Because if that happens, the bullies will only get, it perhaps just continued. Some of them might even get worse. So I would say, if anyone has been bullied, stand up. And I say, stand up. Protect. Save your friends. Save those from being bullied. Tell, tell someone immediately, a parent, a teacher, principal, guidance counselor at the school of all. Because this is something that anyone shouldn't be targeted about. Trust me. If you've had a friend who in school been targeted by bullying at any grade at all, immediately make sure tell a parent, friend, or even a teacher. Because bullying is a terrible thing to anyone to happen. Tell immediately when this happens. Tell anyone almost immediately because you can not stop this person to be suffering from being bullied even further. Because some cases of students being suffering from being bullied can end up in a very deep depression and some worst case scenario to end up commit suicide. And trust me, you have no idea how often that happens when a student commits suicide because of being bullied. It happens more often than you know it. If I had a friend who has been bullied by someone, would I just start to ignore it? No. If it was my best friend, a very close friend of mine, would I just stop just ignore it? No. In fact, I would stand up to my friend no matter what. Telling a friend, I would immediately tell a teacher or perhaps even talk to my friend directly about this. Try to ensure them that they aren't alone. They aren't weak. They're strong individual. And I will always be there to protect my friend regardless what happened. I can't stand to see my friends to be bullied by anyone. And let's say anyone. I will never stand any against that. Bullying is a very serious problem that many goes through. The only fact, if I had to say, of 1 of 10 people that have been suffered from bullying, how many do you think that in fact tell anyone about that being bullied? Maybe just perhaps just 3 or maybe 2 of 10 people perhaps even tell. If there's like if there are 2 of 10 people that just don't aren't if there are like 2 of 10 people that doesn't even report or at least informing anyone that being bullied. So the rest of the people of the 10 just tells people, a student, a teacher, a parent, they have been bullied. But the other 2 people though, of the 10 2 of 10, may not even tell anyone. Keep it that all for themselves. Even from their own family. So trust me. So if you have anyone that been suffering from being bullied in very quite early or later on, immediately stand up for your friend, regardless, because their lives are very equally important, and no one should be being bullied by anyone about any of this. Trust me. And of course, schools are supposed to be a safe place, not being targeted by bullies. But believe me, bullying is a serious problem. That is a very serious problem. Many take it as quite serious, but others just try to ignore, try to make their trying to survive their own, even despite it being targeted by bullets, and they try to just pretend that nothing has happened, that their lives are just any normal. But things aren't that simple as much. Trust me. If you really have someone very close to you that being targeted by bullies or has even been bullied, make sure that none of that ever happens. I will make sure that none of my friends, either in real life or online, would be targeted by any bullying because I would not stand that for a single moment. Because anyone that should, if anyone has ever been targeted by bullies, I feel for you. And I know that how it's like to be bullied. Trust me. It was one of the worst times when I was in school. So if anyone has any friend or family member being bullied, immediately tell someone about it. A teacher, a friend, a parent, anyone can help to stop bullying. And that's pretty much all I want to say. So if anyone listening to this video, I'm very grateful that many took the time to listen to this video in this message about bullying. So my only few words is stop bullying at all costs. Tell someone if you had a friend or family member who has been suffering from bullying. Tell immediately to someone, an adult, a teacher, a friend, a parent for all. So make sure this never happened so that we didn't go too far. Well, everyone, this is all I want to say though. And yeah, thanks for listening. And this is Switch Diablo over and out.